Individual action can help with climate change mitigation. It needs to be enabled and supported by large structural and cultural changes. A paradigm shift in the way we think about climate action has been reported for the first time in the recent IPCC report through a chapter on demand, services, and social aspect of mitigation. This can be achieved through the reduced food waste, following sustainable healthy dietary choice that acknowledges food nutritional needs, adaptive heating and cooling choices for thermal comfort, climate-friendly dressing culture, integration of renewable energy in buildings, shifting to electric light-duty vehicles and to walking, cycling, shared and public transport, sustainable consumption by intensive use of longer-lived repairable products, compact city design and efficient floor area use of the buildings. IPCC report also shows that individuals with high socioeconomic status contribute disproportionately to the emission and have the highest potential for emission reduction as citizens, investors, consumers, role model, and professionals. Of the 60 actions assessed in this report, on an individual, the biggest contribution comes from walking and cycling, wherever possible, and using electricity-powered transport. To be effective, these shifts will need to be supported by systemic change in some areas, for example, land use, urban planning policy to avoid urban sprawl, support for green spaces, reallocation of street spaces for walking, physical exercise, investment in the public transport, and infrastructure design for active and electric vehicles. Individual choice alone can make only a modest contribution to reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Okay. Next article that we are moving into is related to US and allies to impose fresh sanctions, now new investment. US and European allies will impose stiff new sanctions, including ban on new investment in Russia on Wednesday, a US official said, in retaliation for Russia's war crime in Ukraine. The joint action will include a ban on new investment in Russia, toughened sanction on its financial institution and government-owned enterprise. Due to high gas price, many European Union countries have been switching to coal from gas. If the Russian coal import were banned, several European countries could face even more severe energy crunches when heating demand increases next winter, as well as higher bills for consumers and industries. Next article is Darwin notebook missing for 20 years, returned to Cambridge. Notebook which includes 19th century scientist famous 1837 Tree of Life sketch went missing in 2001 after being removed for photographing, though at the time staff believed they might have been misplaced. After searches of library collection, 10 million books, maps and manufacturer failed to find them. They were reported stolen to police in October 2020. Next article that we are moving into is related to Rajapaksa clan in Sri Lankan politics. In South Asia, no other political dynasty has been confidentially nepotistic. That was also when the Rajapaksa embraced China. Beijing has been friend from the day of Srimavo for a huge infrastructure push. Hambantota port was inaugurated in 2011. The country was connected by new Chinese-built expressway in 2014. New submarines stopped over at Colombo port, setting alarm bells ringing in New Delhi. India's instances on political solution for the Tamilans got little traction in Colombo, and DMK's presence in UPA meant the then government took an unfriendly stand at the UN Human Rights Council. Next article is Civilian Massacre in Bucha. Following the withdrawal of Russian troops, more than 300 bodies have been found in Kyiv suburb, some with their hand tied, flesh burned, shot in the back of head. There is a global outrage. President Vladimir Zelensky accused Russian troops of committing the most terrible war crimes since World War II in an address to UN Security Council. Evidences of grisly civilian massacre in Ukrainian areas vacated recently by Russian force. Until Tuesday, officials have counted bodies of at least 14 civilians in the town around Kyiv. Grimmest discoveries have been made in cave suburbs called Bucha, a town located about 25 km from northwest of the capital, which had an estimated population of around 36,000 before the invasion began. More than 300 bodies have been found in the town, some with their hand bound, flesh burned, shot in the back of the head. Ukraine and West have accused Russia of war crimes even earlier, alleging that it targeted civilians in bombing of the maternity hospitals in Mariupol and a theater that announced it as a sheltering of children. War crimes are defined as a grave breaches of Geneva Convention, agreement signed after World War II that laid down the international humanitarian laws during the wartime. Deliberately targeting civilians amounts to war crime. Criminal Court International Criminal Court ICC at The Hague has already opened an investigation into the possible war crimes by Russia. The investigation could in theory target even Putin, but it will be difficult to bring Russian defendants to trial or to prove the intent. Russia do not recognize the ICC and will likely not cooperate with the investigation. Genocide, as defined by United Nations Genocide Convention of December 1948, includes act committed with the intent to destroy in a whole or in a part national, ethnical or racial religious group. Genocide is seen as the gravest of all crimes against the humanity. Perpetrators of genocide want to destroy a people as opposed to defeat army and operate in the intent of systematicity. Difference of opinion on what constitutes genocide explains in part of reluctance of international community to use the term frequently. Apart from Holocaust, in which more than 6 million Jews were exterminated, three other genocides are generally recognized as fitting the 1948 UN definition. 1915 to 1915, 20 mass killings to 20 mass killings of Armenians by Ottoman Turk and the killing of 8 lakh Tutsis and moderate Hutus in the Rwanda in 1994 and Srebrenica massacre of 1995. Next article is emerging from pandemic, need to view the viruses in perspective. Viruses have existed for 3.5 million years prior to human. They permeate every part of the natural world. All of them are harmless to human. Many performs important functions in our ecosystem's maintenance. Only 219 of approximately 1.7 million viral species in the mammals and the bird infects a human. Bacteriophages, often known simply as phages, are viruses that infect and kill the bacteria. Phages are present in our digestive, respiratory and reproductive tract, mucous membrane linings and functions as barrier against invading bacteria. Antigens produced by latent herpes virus assist the immune system in identifying and targeting cancer cells. Certain viral genes produces proteins such as syntectin, which enables the fetus of a fuse with the mother through which placenta but for which the embryo would die. When human triggers virus, frequent contact between human and animals, usually by human intrusion into their habitat, increases the risk of zoonotic viral transmission. 2017 study published in the journal Science suggests that nearly half of the world's species are already on the move as a result of rising temperature and shifting rainfall patterns. Ebola 20 to 30% increase the number of Ebola prone areas by 20 to 30%. Ebola could on average break out once every 10 years by 2070, dropping from the current average of 17 years. When the terrestrial animals migrate, they carry their virus and transmit them. If humans invade their territory, the new possibilities for pandemic emerge. Okay, this is what the article talks about. That's all. If you like the video, please do share, like, comment and subscribe. Thank you.